Hi everybody, today we're going to have a look at the California Beach. We're going to talk you through the electric system within here, so whether that the 12 volt supply, have a quick look at the inverter as well, which is on the driver's seat, and show you where you plug in at the side. So some of the things you would have seen in other videos before, but this is obviously a unique look at the California Beach model in particular. So I thought we'd start with the plug on the side of the vehicle. That's a good place to start, and that's the power 230 volts going into the vehicle. So that's coming in from this side. So I'll show you where that plug is, how it connects in. Then also show you as well where your main switches are, which is a little bit different on the beach, because on the ocean and coast model they're in the back cupboard, so it's really easy to see them. On the beach model they're actually hidden up behind the plastic side panels as well. Now if you're looking at a beach and you're looking at an older model beach we've had before, these electrics are pretty much exactly the same. The only difference between the current 6.1 and the older variations of the beach is probably more the inverter, which you do get now on this particular one that's on here. And obviously this beach is the camping version. We haven't had a tour in recently. When we get a tour one, we can take you through that as well, and they are slightly differently again. It's a normal thing to plug in on the side. Lift the flap up, get your unit that goes in there, plug it in, as easy as that. On the 6.1 it's great, but if you turn your control panel on, you get the little orange light that lets you know that you are actually connected to power, and that's on in there as well. And then if we move to the back, when I was talking about the switches, so in your back cupboard here, if we just take that off and get into here and lift that up, you will see underneath here is where your jack lives. So if I just pull this off from here, so in there is your jack and your tools that are there, but then this cable in here is actually to do with your electrical socket, and just up underneath here where my hand is where your switches are. About here on the side is where your electrical switches are, that's there as well, and you can just flick down and turned it back on again, that's on there. So if you haven't got any electric, that's where you need to look, just on the other side of there. So inside the main living area, over here we've got our main 240 volt socket, and then next to that we have a 12 volt supply as well. And then additionally to those, we've got another 12 volt supply in the rear of the vehicle, which we'll show you a picture of that in a moment. And then the other thing you've got on here as well is you also have some USB, which are down here. You can see just on the top there. And then finally, just underneath here, there is actually another 12 volt socket, whether you can just see that or not, that's there. Obviously you'd have more access to that if, for example, this seat was moving backwards and forwards, and that's something I think which is a carryover from things like the Caravelle, where obviously that area would be open and you'd be able to get access to it as well, but it is down there should you need it. Now the California Beach is no different from the ocean and coast models, so everything from the B pillar, so this is the B pillar here, backwards, is based off the leisure battery. Now the leisure battery for this vehicle is underneath the passenger seat. There's only one leisure battery that's in the beach, and it's under there. So all the electrics, your lights, your electrical sockets that's on the side there, USBs, things like that, are all working off that auxiliary battery. But once you look at the dash, so anything on the dash where you've got power supplies there, they're running off the car battery, and obviously that's the one that you don't want to run down. You want to run down the one that's in the back. Now the only exception to that is the inverter, which is located on the driver seat at the bottom. We'll show you that now. That does run off the leisure battery, and that's an inverter to 240 volts. So if you're not plugged in on a campsite, for example, that's on there, that will run out up to 300 watts, which is more than sufficient for things like an iPad, for example, or a computer that you might have working. But obviously it wouldn't run things like, for example, a microwave or a kettle or anything that has a higher output from that. For those you need your 240 volt socket, and again for that you would need to be connected to the rear of the vehicle. So from the front of the dash perspective, we've got two USB-C sockets, and those are really they're for data sockets, so they're for connecting phones and things like that if you want to connect them through to the actual stereo itself. And then finally there's a 12 volt supply right up on the front of the dash, which is down at the bottom from there, which is great for things like dash cams, etc. They'd be pretty good for those as well. And then in the upstairs camping area, this particular one has got the additional lighting pack with it. So it's got the lights in the ceiling that's here, but what you always get as standard is another 12-volt socket up here. So again, you could plug things like USBs into them via a socket if you wanted to from in there. We could use that, or the other thing is what normally you would have if you didn't have the camping concept lighting. This here, you could plug a USB light straight into that socket. So as I mentioned, if you're on grid, so you're at a campsite or somewhere that you can plug in on the side of the vehicle to give you that hookup, you'll get your 240 volt main socket from here. Now if you're off grid, obviously you haven't got that facility, you've got the inverter, which is an option down the bottom up there, and so that will give you up to 300 watts single socket output that's there, and that's taking power directly from your leisure battery. Alternatively to something like that, which is something which is growing hugely in popularity at the moment, is something like what they call a power station. So something like, for example, that looks like similar to this type of thing. This is a power station itself. So this is basically a battery, and inside here you've got things on the side for 240 volts as well, but something like this, where the differences are, something like this will run a higher wattage. So an indication on this particular one, this will run out at 600 watts per socket that's on there as well. So it's got a lot higher output, so you've got a lot more facilities that's there as well. And there's lots of other benefits with those as well, so it just gives you another option. They're becoming quite popular in the camper van market, in the camping market now, where people want to be a lot more off-grid and self-sufficient. That's there as well. Now, if you'd be interested in having a video that solely talks about things like power banks, etc., please let us know in the comments box below, so we can actually, if you'd like to see a video on that and a bit more information about those type of options, it's there. I know I've mentioned about Grand California before and having mini generators that's there as well. So if you'd like some more information on that, please let us know in the comments box below, and we could do like a mini review, for example, on power banks. I use this particular one here. This is my own personal one, which I use for different circumstances as well, and I'm trying to talk you through those as well. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you get any other questions as well, pop them in the comments box below. We're going to be filming a Q&A session in the next 2 weeks, so get those questions start rolling now, and then we can put them all together. I think at the rate we're going, we may even have enough for 2 Q&A sessions with the questions that we've got going forward from there as well. So if you have, give us a thumbs up, give us a like today. If you don't subscribe, please subscribe. It really does help the channel out, and we'll see you next time.